Hello, BookTube. I was out and about with company and came across a super duper charity book sale. It's, unannounced, unadorned on any sidewalk or sign. It was a totally serendipitous thing through a friend of a friend that just these boxes and boxes of books tends to happen to me. I'm perfectly okay with that. And so there were tons and tons of things that were basically free. All I had to do was cart them, and I wasn't doing the lugging. So I grabbed a bunch of things, and some of them were really interesting, so I wanted to show them to you. That's what the BookTube channel is for, right? And the first three are going to seem a little strange on this channel, especially in light of some of the things I've said. I have been slowly but steadily pruning my book collection. I've been steadily decreasing its size. I think this is a very healthy thing to do. I really think that two ordinary sized rooms, full from floor to ceiling with bookshelves full of books, is enough. I really do. No more rooms than that are necessary. 2 whole rooms of books is enough. Especially when I have a whole area, a whole wall devoted to free books that I get in the mail. so a permanent standing collection, in addition to that, that's 2 whole rooms, is quite big enough. And so I've been reducing. And one of the things that I've been reducing is mass market paperbacks, because I just can't read them comfortably. Now that I'm accustomed to new hardcovers, to trade-size paperbacks, and also especially to ebooks, I can't remember the last time I went back to a mass market paperback with pleasure. Sometimes they're the only game in town, but usually not. And when I have to, an old science fiction classic, for instance, the pages are yellowing and mildewy, and the covers are brittle, and the spines can't take it no matter what I do to reinforce them. It just... So I've sort of been going by the mental rule for about the last year not to buy any more mass markets, except, brightly colored romances and science fiction at Barnes & Noble every once in a while, brand new romances and science fiction that I don't plan on keeping, that I'm reading just for the fun of it. And certainly no secondhand mass market paperbacks, which will make these first 3 seem a little strange. But the rule that I have in mind as I'm kind of thinking about it is, if I see for free or for very cheap mass market paperbacks that I will never see in any other format, they'll only be in mass market, and if I don't buy them in that format, I'll never read them, and I want to read them. And if they're largely disposable, so that I'm not planning on making space for them, I'm just going to, re-donate them. Those I will get, under those conditions only. That's what I'm telling myself for now, anyway. And the first 3 of those definitely fit. They're murder mysteries. They're all by Robin Paige. There's Death at Blenheim Palace, Death at Glamis Castle, and Death at Epsom Downs. And they all take place at the turn of the 20th century. Let's see here. 2 of them are Victorian mysteries, and 1 is an Edwardian mystery. And they were actually brought to my attention by this one, by Death at Glamis Castle, because let me read you a little bit of the description. If you've been paying attention to this channel, you'll see immediately why someone brought this and said, hey, you should read this. Lord Charles Sheridan and his American wife, Kate, are on an archaeological dig, excavating sections of Hadrian's Wall when they are summoned to Glamis Castle by King Edward. Nestled in the rugged Grampian Mountains, Glamis is the most historic castle in all of Scotland, a place teeming with dark secrets and haunting shadows. While Kate winds her way through the elaborate manor, gaining inspiration for her next Gothic novel, Lord Charles discovers the reason behind their journey. It seems Prince Eddie, heir to the throne until his purported death in 1892, has actually been alive all these years. Deemed unfit to rule, he has been living secretly at Glamis under an assumed name. But now the prince has gone missing on the very morning of the body of one of his servants that was found, her throat slashed in a manner eerily reminiscent of Jack the Ripper's. So in other words, this thing is going to revive the whole idea that Prince Albert Victor was Jack the Ripper, and that he didn't die when everyone thought he did. It was a sudden onset of pneumonia. And that's just I checked the dramatis personae, and of course Queen Elizabeth, the future Queen Mother, is a main character. So I had to grab it, and then once I saw there were others here, I had to grab that too. Even though Death at Epsom Downs rather gives away the game of what team this author plays for, because you'll notice our heroine is at Epsom Downs, and look at that thing perched on the rail in a totally unrealistic manner. That is a cat staring out at the viewer. Cats don't do that, but that's okay. You want to signal your allegiances. So I got those. I got those mass markets. I will read them. I will enjoy them, and then I will get rid of them. And same thing's true with this, with a mass market romance, Body and Soul. There ought to be a moratorium on books called Body and Soul, but even so, I love this author, Susan Krinard, and you can tell on the cover, I don't know if you can see that clearly on the phone, that the man there in the military jacket is a ghost. It turns out that is exactly true, and I will just gobble this sort of thing up. Then some fiction that I found. This big thing that I've had many times. I've had it in hardcover, had it in paperback, and I think it's time for a reread. I actually am wanting to get back to this author, and this is Stories in an Almost Classical Mode by Harold Brodkey. I think he's brilliant, and I'm going to go back to, this is just a gigantic outpouring of his genius, and I want to explore it again. And I found it in this really nice trade paperback, so I got it. It was free, of course. And then the next one, two really pretty reprint volumes of Hans Fallada. This is Wolf Among Wolves, and then this one, Little Man, What Now? This was a Nazi era author who hated the Nazis and whose novels, these are, who does these pretty things? Melville House. And I think these reprints came out late enough so that I don't have an excuse why I didn't read them the first time. I'm almost afraid to see. Yeah, 2009. Melville House brought them out in 2009, which was 2 years after I had returned to book reviewing. So the fact that I missed these just meant that I needed time to get back up on my game. Something like this happened now, I certainly wouldn't miss it. I would know about it months ahead of time and be eagerly awaiting it. But I don't think I've ever read Hans Fallada in English, and I don't think I've ever read either one of these books. So I can't wait. I can't wait to get to him. I can't wait to see. He has cropped up in histories that I've read as a historical figure and as an important author, but his actual work, can't wait to dig into it. I assume when it comes to Hans Fallada that in this case, as in so many cases, I will be trotting behind in order to catch up to Britta. But all of us have to do that. And then the last two things are histories. First one is we stick right with Nazi Germany. This is Masters of Death. This is a history of the Einsatzgruppen, which I had and I read, and I believe I even reviewed. This is by Richard Rhodes, and it came out in 2002. And I don't think I have it anymore. As soon as I saw it, I thought, oh, I really liked that, and I don't think I own it. My original copy is gone somehow, so here it is, back again. And I remember thinking it was fascinating, and of course the subject is fascinating, even in a gruesome kind of way. So I got that, and then the find of the day, which continues my incredible lucky streak with seminal biographies. You've been watching these last, week and a half of videos. Everywhere I turn now, secondhand, I'm finding absolutely must-have works of biography. And this one. This is Robert Caro's Lyndon Johnson, Master of the Senate. This is he's doing a multi-volume life of Lyndon Johnson, and this is the volume, the biggest one by far, and it's the volume that is Johnson at the peak of his political clout before he was president, when he was head of the Senate, and was the greatest wheeler and dealer and senatorial manipulator in 100 years. And this is all the who's who, the insider baseball stuff that Caro does so well when he's hunkered down deep in his subject. That, in fact, this is such a winning portrait of Washington power being wielded that I actually found the presidential volume, the first presidential volume, a little disappointing, a little bit of a step down. And I don't think we're ever going to see the next presidential volume, because Robert Caro apparently hasn't looked in the mirror lately and realizes that he's like 300 years old and that he can't be going to Vietnam to research. I could be wrong. You never know. Robert Massey proved me wrong. I thought he was retired and nice and peaceful playing mini golf with the grandkids, and then he wrote Catherine the Great, a fantastic book, a book that would have done credit to 40-year-old Robert Massey. So Robert Caro could prove me wrong. But in any case, this is an absolutely brilliant political biography, American political biography, and I found it for nothing. So there you go. So I want to pile these up here, but I don't know if I can reach them all. We've got Lyndon Johnson, Master of the Senate. We have Masters of Death. We have Stories in an Almost Classical Mode, Harold Brodkey, whose love of Venice, of course, I echo. We've got 2 books by Hans Fallada, and then we've got some mass markets, some disposable mass markets. They do not mean that I have fallen off the wagon. I am still against accumulating mass market. It's just that they're harmless pleasures. I swear I could quit anytime I want. Thank you, BookTube. I'll see you soon.